What's up, guys? Today we're going to be working on the Tahoe here. If any of you guys have one of these 07 to 14 model Tahoes or Avalanches, and actually I think the Silverados are wired the same, you're aware about the fog lights, we'll kind of point in reverse here, the fog lights cutting off when you turn your high beams on. I'm sure it's a safety feature. I'm sure in some states it's probably a legality thing, California. But personally, I drive a lot of back roads. I get off work at 11:30 at night. And when I use my high beams, I want all the light thrown out in front of me that I possibly can get. So today, I'm going to do a quick mod and actually tap into a plug on the BCM under the dash and change that. And so Boost Auto sells a kit to do this. It's like 23 bucks. It's literally a couple of T-taps and a diode with some spade connectors crimped down to the end of it for $23. You can get a diode, you can get a pack of like 100 of them for like 4 bucks, and any way you want to connect it to the wires, that's entirely up to you. Personally, I'm going to use these little twist locks. I have about a dozen of these things left over that I've pulled out of cars in the junkyard over years, and the diode is literally nothing fancy. If you look them up online, there's so many different variations, but this one, the part number is 1N4004. It's a 1 amp load rated diode, which is plenty because it's literally just triggering a relay, which takes, you know, fractions of an amp to trigger. And actually, to be fair, I don't know if it's triggering the relay or if it's just triggering an input on the body control module that then triggers the relay. Either way, 1 amp is going to be plenty. And I'm going to climb up under the dash and show you exactly what's going on here to connect these. The wires to connect them to on this particular year range, which is, like I said, 07 to 14. This one's a Tahoe 2010 model. And what wires to connect it to, and the orientation of this diode is extremely important. So let's dive in. Alright, so to find our plug, go ahead and slide your seat all the way back. We're going up underneath the driver's side of the dash. Grab yourself a flashlight. Basically, hopefully I can get this to come out on camera. It's kind of dark. We're going to look up in here, and first off, we're going to ignore this blue wire because that's going to my stereo. And the first thing we need to do is get this floor duct out of the way. Pretty simple. Hold it back a little bit. It'll come back far enough to get off of there. That sounded like it broke, but trust me, it didn't. And we're just going to move it out of the way. There's another attachment point right here, so don't just yank it out or you'll break it, but we're literally just moving it out of our way. Once we get that out of the way, like I said, it's kind of hard to see up in here, but there, all those plugs lined up in a little row is our BCM. And our plug we're looking for is black in color. It's actually, I think it's the very middle plug. It's kind of hard to see, but there's a plug with a black, about dead center of the frame there, plug that's the actual plastic part of it is black. And to get that out, on the forward side of it facing the front of the vehicle is a little tab. Just gonna reach up in there with one hand, kind of grab the wire with a couple of fingers, depress that tab with another finger. I know you can't see because my fat hand's in the way, but as you're depressing that tab and holding the wires, give it a little wiggle and pull back, and she should. It probably helps if I grab the right bundle of wires. It should, with not a whole lot of effort, there it goes, pop right out. And now that you get it out, you can literally pull it out here and work on it out in the open. It's a lot easier than trying to fumble with it way up in there. So you get that out in here, and now we can get our wires out of here. It may help to pull some of this, unravel some of this tape and give you a little bit more wire to work with. But we'll cross that bridge here in a second. Alright, so with our black plug down, looking at it in this orientation with the release pin facing away from us, going second row forward, or yeah, I let go of it. Second row up, third one over to the left is this little guy right here. Kind of this beige, tannish looking wire with a white stripe in it, looks like. That is our high beam trigger. This alternates when high beams are turned on and off. So that's one wire that we're interested in. The other wire is on the same row go to the far side of the plug. If I can one finger move these wires out of the way. It's this little guy, in my case green with a white stripe. Come here. There it is. That is our fog light trigger. That one alternates ground and 12 volts when the fog lights are turned on and off. And basically we're to use a diode to bridge between these two. So those are our two wires. How you decide to tap into them is up to you. I am personally going to use, like I showed you those earlier, those little twist locks. So using those twist locks, like I said, these literally just screw onto the wire. It pokes a little tiny prong through the wire, through the sheathing, the covering, and engages with the actual wire inside. And now these caps unscrew off and will give me a place to attach my diode. Now I mentioned about these being basically these diodes being a one-way valve. If you look close, one side's got a little silver stripe. That silver stripe is going to face towards that third pin over in the second row, which is your high beam trigger. The side without the silver stripe is going towards the fog light tap in there. Alright, so now I have both of those tapped in, just like so. This diode is locked in place to those two wires. So now I'm going to snake it back up there and plug it in and test it before I pull it back down and wrap everything back up in the tape just to cover it. So that's it, plug back in. You can see the diode up in there. Tested, everything works properly. So now I'm going to pop it back out one more time and cover it back up in that cloth tape just to protect that diode so it's not out in the open like that. Alright, our wire is all covered back up with tape. I had to put a little extra electrical tape on there. Over the bump of the connectors, it was made the factory tape just a little short, so a little bit extra down there to the bottom. It's all good. Now that's all bundled up. We can take our floor duct. You can kind of give it a little tug towards the driver's side to get it clear. Line it back up. Sounds terrible, but I promise you it's not breaking. It's just lining up. And then pop it back into place. And that's it. You're done. Maybe take some of these wires that look like they're drooping a little bit and try to tuck them up somewhere. You don't want those catching your feet. That's not good. But that is all there is to it, to installing that. And I'm going to pull the truck around to the garage and make sure it all functions. Alright, there you go. As you can see, it works. Added benefit with my current setup, I have HIDs in these projector lights. Any of you guys that are aware of running HIDs with aftermarket HIDs, I should say, with vehicles that have automatic running lights, or lights that kick, automatic headlights. When you turn the key, they kick on, specifically if it's dark, before you start the vehicle. You turn the key and start the vehicle, they'll flicker off, and then they don't always come back on, at least one of them. I have basically a 10-second delay relay on my low beam headlights. So if I don't have my headlights on and I want to flash somebody to allow them to pass or something like that, let's say I want to flash an 18-wheeler, let him know he can get over on the interstate, I haven't been able to do that unless my low beams have been on already, because my high beams are literally just an actuator in the projector that lets it go from low to high beam. Doesn't turn on an additional bulb, it just lets more light out. The problem with that is it doesn't do anything if I don't have my headlights on, because there's a 10-second delay and I can't exactly, I don't know 10 seconds ahead of time if I'm going to let a semi get over in front of me or something like that. The benefit to this is now when I flash my high beams without my headlights on, my fog lights flash. So it'll at least give some sort of indication. I can signal somebody, hey, you can go ahead and get over, or something like that. So, added benefit, I guess. But doing this literally cost me nothing. I had these parts sitting in my garage. Any avid DIYer of any type that does any kind of wiring should have this stuff sitting around, I would imagine. If not, these diodes can be had, like I said, for a pack of like 100 of them for like $5 on Amazon or eBay. And pick your poison when it comes to attaching them. I personally like those little twist lock connectors. You can use T-taps. If you really want to, you can cut the wires and splice it together and tape it back together. I don't advise that, but you know, the option's there. If you don't do that route, pretty much any other route that taps in is completely reversible. But it retains all the factory functions, and it just adds fog lights with the high beams. Pet peeve, the only thing I wish it did was leave the indicator light on in the cluster when the fog lights are on when you turn your high beams on. It doesn't. Whatever, you know, it's not a big deal, but there's that. Like I said, the Boost Auto does sell it for like 23, 24 bucks. If you want a simple, you know, plug and play install, go with that route. The detailed instructions work great. I actually referenced those instructions to figure out how to do this on mine, as well as another video of a guy on YouTube who took a diode and basically just kind of pushed it into the plug under his dash. Not crazy about that idea. It probably won't fall out in the long run, but I'd be concerned about the connection quality of the diode legs just pushed up in the prongs of the plug, but I digress. But like I said, if you want, go ahead and buy. You can support Boost Auto, pay them the $23, $24 for the kit. I personally have these parts sitting around, and it's less than $5 for the parts if you need to go out and buy it. So, like I said, hope it was informative. Hope it helped you guys out, and don't forget to like this video, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I'm going to try to get a couple more videos out here, mainly pointing towards automotive stuff. I've been doing a lot of computer and 3D printer stuff recently, but I want to get back into the more automotive videos. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.